I'm Tom Moloney. I've been at MB 5 years and I'm account manager and brand strategist.
And I'm Dan Radley. I'm heading up brand strategy here. I've been here 7 months, 3 weeks, 4 days and 3.5 hours. Do you want to start on that one?
Yeah, I think one thing to sort of caveat the conversation with is that, again, we don't work to a prescriptive system here at all, and we're never about, in the same way that we never stick to a category, we're completely open to working in any field. We don't have a trademarked 4-step success platform that we make people follow. So the first stage, really broadly, I think is just about listening, and it's that chance to really exercise all the empathy that you've got. You're just trying to hear everything from the historical context that's got them to put them in front of you today, to understand ambitions and aims for it. Always leaving some room, as I said earlier on, for that little moment of like, well, what do I actually feel about this? How does it? Forget everything you've told me. What does it make me feel? And then there's a period of trying to match what they've come in to tell you what they want. What they're saying. We're trying to do the problem. We're trying to solve. Trying to articulate that into a program of work. Some again, back to where we were, into some logical steps, a process that we can then that we think will get the results, but always leaving. We have this sort of what if. Yes,
it's a provocations. Yeah. We try and get creative work started as soon as we can when we're talking to people. So, rolling hand grenades into the room, and you're a red brand. What if you became a blue brand, or what if you threw everything up in the air? We try and do some of that early, because actually it gets our clients very excited. They feel part of that process as well. There's a sort of wildness about the way that we sometimes get these things going.
I think it's that balance always of something systematical and logical, but always with some irrational, some craziness thrown in. And I think sometimes the net result is that people feel like we've really listened and understood, and it also carries a bit of excitement. I think we're passionate about it, and that's what happens here. Is debates will rage, arguments will happen, and rumble on for decades.
Grudges.
I told you I was right. Yeah.
But the systematic bit of it for me, probably, Tom, is also about when we're dealing with brands. I think authenticity is incredibly important here. So, if we're being really sort of the rigorous side of what we're doing is okay, what are the truths? What about the truths about this brand, this product, and this company? What are the truths about the people who are receptive to it and who are likely to buy it or subscribe to it or be part of it? And also being really realistic about the market and the trends, and what are the truths about the competitive environment, context that they find themselves in. I guess that's the rigorous side. On the other side, it's the stuff that we've been talking about. It's what if you became like this? What if you went back to what your founders said 175 years ago? What did you stand for then?
Yeah.
Does it have some resonance now? We're seeking sort of lateral starting points that kick the creative process.
I think a good illustration of that maybe was with the Almeida Theatre, where it was this amazing brief about what they're trying to do to the audience and what their new vision was. But we took like a sort of framework from Business Week style magazines, opinion editorial, things that move fast, and made their brand behave in that way. So sometimes it's just taking another world, another way of doing it, and applying it into that field. Suddenly opens up really interesting sort of ways of working and ways of thinking about things, and that always. And I guess that's something we're set up nicely to do, because we work across so many sectors, and with big companies, with tiny little startups, with non-profits, with FTSE 100s, whatever. That sometimes you can take some of what you're learning and the way they think about problems or issues in one field and apply some of that into an entirely different field, and you get really interesting results.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably, well, for me, I often forget exactly which job it is I'm working on because it's quite a small company.
Yeah.
We're juggling a lot of things, but I think that's probably one of the secrets is it is do as much as you possibly can, because the more different perspectives that you've got, your brain starts to solve problems in your peripheral vision. I think. I think that if you're cooking on a number of different hobs at the same time, then you start to solve problems in more interesting ways. Exactly as Tom says, you start to apply something you've heard somewhere to a very tricky problem that you've been struggling with.
Whether you know it or not, as well. Sometimes I think sometimes it's not. It just happens, and you go, oh, actually, that was something we were thinking about for X, Y, and Z. It's not always. It's not always a deliberate. What if we took this methodology and applied it to? It sometimes just goes.
And
it happens.
But also it is about. There's a bit of risk taking in all of this as well, which I think that we both come from a creative background, and it's so. But everybody here is, they're wonderful creatives. Really, they just are, amongst the best that I've ever worked with. But there is that. In the end, we're differentiating companies. And that's the job that we're doing. So we got to be brave. We got to stick our necks out sometimes.